What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily Podcast, powered by Andrade and Levine Accident Attorneys. Do a little late night show here today. Atlas is saying, what's going on? We're doing it late here. The schedule's been kind of all crazy, right? Because we got practice in the morning. Pete's been doing his thing. Usually after practice, there was no media availability today, but he did his work in the morning. Gave you a little bit of recruiting updates. I was at practice now, here ready to talk some Canes. I did an article called The Bank, as usual, on CanesInsight.com, 7.5 million posts and counting, which you can read. I'm going to go over just some of the latest things I'm hearing, seeing, just some of the latest things around practice and the team and recruiting and just kind of general strategy, man. Give you guys an update on what's going on. Folks who always know what's going on, that's Andrade and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Andrade and Levine. Heel saying, I was thinking no DMoney today. Not too much days like that, man. I can't help it. I'm on here every chance I get. Back from baseball practice, so I'm rocking. 954, beautiful snook there. Mullet run coming up, man. So a lot of snook on the horizon. So, yeah, man, just wanted to kind of connect with the late night crowd, talk about what's going on in practice. Drop the bank. It was usually very recruiting focused, but obviously this time of year, a little bit of recruiting, but really more team oriented. So wanted to get to what's going on there. Want to answer some questions. Want to just talk Canes, man. Late night, man. Let's go. Put the babies to bed, put the woman to bed, and talk Canes. David said, you can't leave us. It's a problem, man. I got to have it. I don't know what to say. Can't go out, go one day without doing this, but this is fun, man. And obviously it's camp, so things are rolling at all times. Bubba's saying kids got DMoney for a bedtime story tonight. Not my kids, man. They're going to be fighting. School's about to start on Thursday. They're used to staying out late. Not out too late, but not going to sleep for school days. So they're going to be trouble tonight. Good luck to Mrs. Money, Dr. Money, as she finishes this deal. Tyler saying, great article. Love to hear about Bryce Fitzgerald. Super talented kid. Yeah, let's get into it, man. Oh, Alice is saying, how's baseball going? Good. We got pitching and center field. So a lot of throwing going on. Trying to get the lefty swing to catch up to the righty. My son's a righty hitter, lefty thrower, which is backwards. So he's working on getting that lefty up to speed. Cody Ross, last guy I knew that was a righty hitter, lefty thrower. So he's trying to get the lefty back. So let's see. 954 saying the mullet already thick in Palm Beach. So that means Miami Beach is going to be pretty soon. So I got to get ready. I got to practice my casting technique. Be throwing that thing just like Carson Beck. Yeah, a lot of great people in the chat. It's cool about these nighttime shows. You get different people in the chat. Ray saying, just moved my niece into the new dorms. Great to be a Cane. Shout out to you, Ray. A lot of new college move-ins all over the country, and also certainly at University of Miami. It's a crazy time. I saw that Bezos' his stepdaughter was moving in. So there was an article on that I saw on Twitter or whatever. Dana White, we did the show yesterday. He's moving in his daughter. So Miami is really becoming the spot. Brandon saying, lefty on the mound with some run. Let's get that offer. Yeah, he's one pitch right now. He's fastball only. This is his first year really pitching, but he's doing pretty good. I told him just, throw strikes, man. Don't worry about all the pain in the corners and all that. Just get it over the plate. Make him hit it. So let's go in here in the bank. So pull it up right here. Dropped it on CanesInsight.com, as I usually do. 7.5 million posts and counting. Sign up today if you haven't. It's all free. The biggest Canes community on the planet. This already has 11,000 views, 8 pages of replies. So the action on these boards, if you have not plugged into these boards and you're a Canes fan, it is addicting. It is crazy. The amount of information, both from me, but really from other people, and just the back and forth is next level. So drop the bank. Been a while, and here's basically what I'm hearing on the team and seeing, really, and feeling. I mean, I'm around. I don't want to give too many specific details at Notre Dame's first game. That makes it a little trickier. But just in general, obviously you guys are going to be the most educated Canes fans on the planet as far as what's actually going on, not worried about things that aren't going to happen. So with this team, bottom line, the scrimmage on Sunday, to me, I found it to be very successful. And everything I'm hearing, talking to people, and they're just my own observations, talking to people that go to practice, talking to people in the program. Successful scrimmage, right? The team is good. At least it looks good. It's August 12th. But like, if we're just apples to apples, how confident are people? I just sense a lot of confidence, man. I sense a lot of confidence in the players. I sense a lot of confidence in the coaches. I sense a lot of confidence in the parents and the people going to practice. It's just, it looks like a good, complete team. Now, we have not won through a whole season, finishing strong in November, all that, since 2003. So, and even then we didn't, maybe 2002. So it's been a while. So obviously I understand the cynicism that you all got, but as far as like this team, I feel very good about how complete it is, how many impact players it has at important spots, the experience, and just what we're staring at here on August 12th. Last year, you felt great about Cam Ward. You felt great about Restrepo, Elijah Arroyo, the offensive line, the running game, the offense in general. There were concerns about the defensive backfield at this time. OJ Frederick was really kind of showing out as the best corner at this time. But I would say the struggles of the front seven, maybe didn't know how bad it would get under Coach Guidry, considering he just had a pretty good year the year before. Had a great year at Marshall when he was there. And the defensive line and linebackers had a lot of talent. Mauanoa was coming off a great year. Ruben Bain was the rookie of the year. So I'm not going to sit here and say that this time last year you didn't feel good about your front seven. I think that was something that maybe even Florida, I mean, after Florida, who was really worried about our front seven? I think that was something that happened more over the course of the years. You saw the Bain injury and just more movement and just weird stuff going on up front. The secondary was a concern. So if you're just comparing this time to last year to now, I just think the complete roster where you say, man, these corners, there's 4 of these guys, 5 of these guys, 6 of these guys, nickels that can play, safeties. You got 2 that you feel good about, that can tackle, that can move, that have experience. Obviously, the defensive line just gets more talented every year, and now I think there's maybe less. You know, last year you had some kind of one and dones. Blay is a one and done, but a lot of these guys are homegrown 5-star players or blue chip players. Messidor's basically homegrown at this point. I think he's going to poise for a good year. Linebacker, just a more complete unit, I think, than last year from a strength and just experience, length, athleticism standpoint. You're going to miss Mauanoa, but Torrey's looking so good. I get a lot of confidence on this team, man. Obviously, Cam Ward's the best player I've seen since Sean Taylor at Miami. Best quarterback I've ever seen at Miami. So guys like that don't get really replaced. Borregala, same thing at kicker. Arroyo at tight end. But you have really good players ready to step in at some of these spots, most of these spots. And we'll see, man. But so starting off again, like I said, the scrimmage is successful. Team is pretty healthy. You know, obviously no one's 100%. It's football, but I am knocking on wood with where we're at. And I feel just the talent on the team, man. It's there. So I start with the freshmen, and people say, I saw some post on CanesInSight. People were like, oh, you know, you were hyping all the freshmen around this time. Well, really, that's not true. And those who listen to the show know around this time, the guys getting hyped last year, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but those who listen to the show and listened for a year, OJ Frederick, who was a late arrival, was the name on basically the beginning of every single podcast I did. I think we did like 3 shows on him particularly. Jordan Lyle, another late arrival, was the one getting a lot of hype at the running back position. Elijah Lofton, I think I made no secret about how good he was. And then you also heard that Pruitt and Cole McConaughey were going to play. So those guys all played. Frederick was a freshman All-America. Jordan Lyle did a lot. You think back to the year before, Ruben Bain, Mauanoa. So in my view, when you get towards August 12th, if you're a freshman making plays and playing against real players and doing things, you're going to me, make a big impact on the team just based on experience. So there you go. Brandon says, so just apples to apples here. I know I hype people up. I know I'm an optimistic person. I get excited, but these are the people that we talked about last year, and they were the ones that played. You didn't hear like a ton of other players that were like going to play major roles by this time of the year. Anyways, so which freshmen to me are jumping to the forefront now that you've had the scrimmage, you've had a lot of practices. I'll start with somebody that we talked about a ton. Reminds me of OJ Frederick in terms of a late arrival, and that's Bryce Fitzgerald. He's the only guy in the class that was not here in spring, the defensive back athlete, kick returner, wide receiver, do-it-all player from Columbus. Columbus doesn't allow early entries. He didn't get here early. He is here now, and he has made an immediate impact. We talked about it in warm-ups, or not warm-ups, so workouts, I should say, getting ready for camp, that this guy was looking real good. Now you play games or play practices. You don't play games yet, but you're playing with pads. You're doing team periods with contact. It's getting closer to a game. And he's doing his thing, man. He is turning the ball over at a high rate. His level of athleticism is as good as we've seen at safety in a long time. He's a 4.4 runner. The range is outstanding because he has the instincts and the talent. You can catch the ball. Very similar to Cam Kitchens, just in terms of, instead of, Cam Kitchens ran, 4.6, this guy's running 4.4, potentially 4.3 when he's all done. So the level of athleticism and range and ball skills is pretty unique. It's been showing up consistently. The question was really tackling, because in high school, that wasn't really part of his game. The interceptions for sure, the returns, the offense and defense ability, the kick return. But in the scrimmage, full contact, take him to the ground, and he's continuing to ascend. So that's a good sign that you had your first big test from a contact standpoint, and you passed that. He's 187 pounds. There's no issue with that. So if he can tackle enough to stay at safety, this is going to be a Cam Kitchens type player with more athleticism. And I love Cam Kitchens. Cam Kitchens starting in the NFL. His name is in the rafters. So I say that without, not lightly, but that's the kind of impact talent this guy has and what he's showing consistently. So that's one name to highlight. Again, as far as who are the Frederics, the Loftons, the Lyles this year, they're going to be a factor on this team. He's one that jumps to mind. Another one, and this is probably, I should have led with this name, but we talk about him so much, which is, Malachi Toney. The Malachi Toney, if you ask me to bet on any freshman, if you ask me to bet on really many players on this team, for what I value in players, this is me talking, I'm betting the house on Malachi Toney, because he is so good mentally, from a prep, from an instincts, from an IQ standpoint. And just maturity, emotional maturity, just that it factor too. He's got all that. So given that the system favors slots, given that he was here and he's been making plays consistently since he got here in spring, really since he got here in January, Malachi Toney is the one name I'd bet on. He's like Elijah Lofton last year. Just a guy that you just a great football player. But I think, unlike Lofton, he has a much clearer path to playing time in the slot. So I would mention that name first, but I want to get to Bryce because he's really rising fast and is so talented. The other name that's really rising fast, Josh Moore, the wide receiver out of West Broward. Big target, athletic, can adjust to the ball, plucks the ball, big hands. Another guy, mentally strong, younger. Malachi just has that savvy because he's a former quarterback. So I just think even though he's 17 in age, he's mentally very advanced. Whereas Moore's a freshman, but he's a freshman doing the right things to play. And the size and body control he has allows him to do a lot that's just unique on this roster. Very similar to Colby Young, who Beck loved at Georgia, just more athletic and talented than Young. Obviously younger, he's a freshman, but similar, big ability to play big while also being more athletic. This guy does backflips. He jumps over fences. I mean, this guy's a springy athlete. More is. So that's a name to watch. And I think just continuing to rise and ascend. So, I'm very confident that those three are on the right trajectory to potentially impact the 2025 Miami Hurricanes in a very positive way. And it's not just them, right? We could talk about all these guys. We talked about these freshmen a lot. I did a whole video on the class of 2025 because I like all those guys. I just want to highlight those three just from what I've seen, talking to sources, just trying to give it to you as straight as I can. Those are three that have a lot of helium behind them, just because what they're doing in practice and what they bring to the table from a skill set standpoint. Overall, a receiver, there's a lot of receivers that are making the case for playing time based on what I'm hearing. And some are going to hear that and say, oh, that means if you got, it's like quarterbacks. If you don't got a number one guaranteed guy, you don't have any. But I think you have a lot of guys that are capable of doing different things. And you also have Carson Beck, who's not really like a lock-on, like TBD. lock on his number one receiver. That's not really what Beck does. Beck is very much scan the field. Whoever's open, it's a check down, it's a deep pass. If like he very much takes what the defense gives him. That's he's like similar to Dorsey in that way. He spreads the ball. And I think there's a lot of receivers beyond the guys I named that are young. CJ Daniels, veteran. Keelan Marion making a lot of plays. Tony Johnson's out there doing things. Ray, many more besides that. There's also young guys, the class of 24 guys. But that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of receivers, and it's not like, oh, there's no one that is like a go-to guy, so therefore you're dealing with a mass of people that are just kind of mid, to use a word that my kids have been using lately. Pick that one up. But, kind of average. I think you just have a lot of guys that are capable of doing different things in a good way, and you're excited about them, and then you have a quarterback that likes to spread it. Would you love to have Jeremiah Smith as your number one receiver, and he's the clear alpha? Yes. Eric Singleton, I'm not going to lie and sit here. You wish you didn't have a number one receiver of that caliber. But what I'm saying is a lot of guys that can make plays, and I think it fits with what Beck likes to do. I've talked a lot about the five-star players shifting to the defense. On the defensive line, guys that we spent a lot of time recruiting, spent a lot of money recruiting. Justin Scott's doing well, stalwart in the line. He's going to be a huge part of this team. Mod Moden, I'm very high on, probably the fastest first step on the team. David Blay. Those are the D tackles. David Blay, holding the point, doing his thing. They did a very nice job being stout in the scrimmage. But as far as five stars, I got off track. In terms of 5 stars, you're talking about Justin Scott, who's doing great. Hayden Lowe. He did an interview with Donald. You see how smart this guy is. A huge, smart, athletic player who's going to play. About the Blunt, we talked about him, another very, very intelligent guy who's strong and physical and had a really good scrimmage. But one name that I'm hearing a lot about as a 5-star signee, Marquise Lightfoot. Marquise Lightfoot's a guy that I just keep hearing his name. I keep hearing about Lightfoot and how explosive he is and how he can get in the backfield and do his thing. So that's a name where people always ask, how big is he? And he's not somebody who's, necessarily 240, 250, 260. Like, he didn't look like Hayden Lowe, and he's not going to be that. But in terms of what he does with his length, his change of direction, his speed, especially his speed and his motor, he can do a lot of things from a pass rush standpoint that help you. He can drop into coverage. He can run stuff down. He's a tough player. He's on kickoff. He's not a finesse guy, even though he's skinny. But the speed, obviously, is the moneymaker and the ability to get to the quarterback. He is somebody who I heard is an ascendant player as that second-year 5-star guy. Another 5-star player, and by the way, Ruben Messidor still doing their thing as starters. I think there's a lot of expectations on this pass rush in this new system. But another 5-star that we've talked about in the past, who the phrase I heard, the quote I heard on this player was, "The light has come on." And that's Samson Okunlola, Pancake Honcho himself. A lot of hype, 5-star player, kind of stops and starts. People are getting excited. He got hurt, then kind of hasn't really gotten on the field like you expect him to. Everybody's wondering what's going on. He's a 5-star. He's going to transfer. A lot of negative stuff around Samson. Really, all the guy did was work. He graduated in like 2.5 years. So, again, another high IQ guy, which I value personally. Not that these guys all have to be rocket scientists, but when a player is smart in the classroom and has good grades, they usually handle their business in the football side. So 2.5 years, working hard. Mirabal was very vocal defending him in the media circuit, just kind of like, hey, lay off Samson. He's doing great. Now seeing him, he's playing a lot of different positions with the first team. You see him at tackle. You see him at guard. I don't think I'm breaking secrets. You see it on the videos or the pictures that Instagram puts out. And he's doing really well. And again, the light has come on. That's what you hear about Samson. And we'll see. Obviously, there's games to be played. And there's going to be time. He's still just a redshirt sophomore. So keep that in perspective. He's got 3 years of eligibility, potentially. But you like to hear those things. You like to see him continue to ascend. And he's a hard worker who is smart. And obviously has talent. He's a 5-star player. So, that's something that is positive, and that I do expect Samson to play at some point. We've been lucky with offensive line injuries last year. So Markel Bell played maybe a little earlier than you expected. So Samson's a guy you could see somewhere on the field. Corners, I've talked about them. That's probably the most glaring difference from last year is just looking at these corners and the size of the whole group and the talent. Guys like Charles Brantley, who's a smaller guy, he has a ton of experience, and he's not even someone you're really counting on to carry you. He's just one of the several guys, 4 of which are tall, athletic players. So Ethan O'Connor had a great interception. Very talented player. He could take the ball away. OJ Frederic, you heard Eric McLean say he thought he was maybe the best player on the team. I stood next to him watching practice and seeing what Frederic was doing, breaking on the ball. Who else? Xavier Lucas, we talked about his size, his speed. He was great last year for Wisconsin when he played. But Damari Brown is a name I keep hearing positive things about. He looks like just like this is. I compare it to David Njoku. This is not how corners normally look, but he can turn, he can run, he's well coached, and I know he can hit as well. He isn't really unloaded on people in practice as his own teammates, but I've seen him in games. This guy has a natural striking ability, but he can cover, and he's just having a really, really great camp. So Damari Brown, someone I throw into this very deep cornerback situation. Brandon asks, is Damari going to start? He could. That job's up for grabs with all the talent in there. I think this very well could be one of the best groups in the entire ACC. China Lagoon said, I wish we had these guys last year healthy. Me too, man. This would have been a whole different team, which is why I think this team is more complete. Last point. The staff is going to be very, very aggressive in the flip market. Those are the words told to me. They are gearing up and being strategic about a very aggressive push in the flip market, flipping commits. Forget about the contracts and that. These are guys that they're not bound by contracts. These are guys we can go out and get. We got to play well on the field and get a good start, and it's also building up the war chest. But we have relationships with these guys, and they're in play. Doesn't mean these guys are going to flip, but these are guys that are in the picture. And when you're in the picture, you got a chance. Derek Cooper, you heard about him visiting for the Notre Dame game. Tristan Key is still talking to him. Justice Fitzpatrick, Minka Fitzpatrick's brother. Minka Fitzpatrick now now with the Miami Dolphins, the All-America Pro Bowl safety from Alabama and the Steelers. He is now back with the Dolphins. So you have brother and brother in the same city. Nolan Wilson, big defensive lineman from Alabama, still in the mix. Or is he from PKU, Mississippi, but Alabama commit. James Johnson from Miami Northwestern. He's local. Jet Washington, we talked about him, the elite, tall, athletic safety from Bishop Gorman, nephew of Kobe Bryant. Now, that doesn't mean these guys are all like coming tomorrow or coming at all, but these are guys that are just in the mix. And Miami's preparing for an aggressive push. Johnny Lagoon asks, do you think our commits are safe? No, I don't. I don't think anybody's commits are safe. I think this idea that because of contracts, people are bound in, I don't think that's true. I'm not saying you're going to see a ton of flips because teams are going to fight to retain their players, but you're going to at least see opportunities to flip, and then some guys will flip. If we want to get in the flip game, CanesConnection.com/CIS. I'm doing a call on Thursday where I'm going to be breaking down more candid talk about what I'm hearing in practice, specific plays, things that I can't really talk about on this show. So sign up, CanesConnection.com/CIS, CanesConnection.com/CIS. If you use promo code CIS50, that's promo code CIS50, you get 50% off your first month at any price point. You still get access to all the benefits of Canes Connection at that price point, and also at any price point, access to my Zoom calls. So join Canes Connection, and let's get gear up that war chest for that run. Because I'm telling, it's happening, and I'd rather it happen with a full arsenal. And that takes you guys. So if you're part of it, I appreciate you. If you're not part of it, let's get on board. Let's make this thing happen. Over 1,000 on. Remember to like and subscribe to this show. Hurricane Sean saying, I hope we get keys. Only one way to do it, my man. Well, there's a few ways. There's more to it than just paying, but we got to be ready to pay. So let's get rolling, man. Let's do our part. I know I'm signed up. I know Johnny Lagoon signed up. Let's make it happen. Brandon saying, drop the scoop on Washington. Washington, which one? The Jet Washington, the nephew of Kobe Bryant. I think the scoop on him, he goes to Bishop Gorman. We're in communication. He's committed to Oregon. We got to get some momentum, but we're going to take a shot there. He's an elite player, and we're going to take shots at elite players, and I think we're going to get at least a couple if we get moving with the team, and Canes Connection gets even stronger, as you see me wearing the hat. So get your questions in here. We're about 25 minutes in, man. I'm just getting started. I'll take a little drink. These solo ones, I gotta drink a little bit just to make sure my voice doesn't start cracking. I sound like I'm in 6th grade. But yeah, man, get your questions in. Question from Tyler, which is, can you see Miami going after Conrad Hussey? Just announced he's no longer with FSU. I don't know. I don't think so. Possible. I liked him out of high school. Fast guy from St. Thomas. Former offensive player in youth ball that switched to defense. He could run. He was a 10-9 guy. He at different times flashed at FSU. I know Pete talked to scouts that went by there and liked him, but we'll see. I don't know if we're going. We could. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think safety, when you got Dylan Day, Bryce Fitzgerald, it's starting to look a little better. Now you need guys in this class, as you know. So maybe, right? Because you don't have safeties in the class. You didn't sign a ton last year. You really just signed, I think, Amari Wallace and Bryce Fitzgerald, both Team Raw Duaso guys. So maybe Fish is saying here's TCU. I could see that. Kind of weird to jump in the portal at this point. Coach Shenko says, in your opinion, is Luke Nickel QB2? No, Emery's having a real good camp. He's worked. He's coming out of his shell a little bit. Not that he was in a shell, but he looks just so confident. He's kind of like talking trash. He's kind of like Cam out there, really vocal. And, winner, you saw that in FSU and Clemson, just kind of the mental fortitude. Physically, he's just getting stronger. He's getting more comfortable. He's getting more athletic. Is Emery going to get into a game and tear it up? I mean, that remains to be seen. He hasn't, shown it yet necessarily in a game where he's just gone out there and dealt. But he's worked hard and he's gotten better and he's doing good in practice. So I think he's the number 2 guy. I think that's how it is. I like Nickel. I think in terms of all the guys we've signed, including Coleman, quite frankly, like Nickel's the one that I'd probably bet on the most, just because of the total skill set, having done it in high school at a high level. He's very good throwing on the run. He has a good arm, good enough arm, good accuracy, smart, very quick decision maker, very decisive decision maker. But he hasn't really whether had the opportunities or just he's young, So I think Emery is to me the number 2 quarterback, and I like the direction he's going. Jacoby's saying he's wearing a visor and he's number changed. I think he's feeling different with his confidence. Could be number 8. Looks cooler than what he was before. Was he number 17? Yeah, 8's definitely a better looking number. But he's got to get in there and throw. I don't think at this point you want to go in there and being protected as he was, like maybe against Iowa State. So if he does go in there, you hope to see him throw, and I'm sure he wants to throw too. Judd saying, Travis Thomas always supporting Judd. Judd, man, he makes some nice plays. He's got a lot of talent. All these guys, it's hard to tell from practice. Number 1, you got to see him in games. And then number 2, they're working hard, man. These guys are trying to get better. But I think obviously Carson Beck is the number 1 quarterback, and I think Carson Beck is going to be exceptional. Sergio asking, is Mike Ryan appearing tomorrow? Yes, I think we're going to do a Mike Ryan show at 1. And we'll probably do 2 shows tomorrow too. So if you're a Mike Ryan fan, there's a ton of you. I always get a lot of comments in my group chats and my text. Tomorrow's the show. And if you just, maybe want less tangents from us and more football stuff, we'll be doing that too. So you get all those, man, tomorrow. We're going to be getting a lot of shows. Brian saying late night Canes talk. Let's go. Yeah, we're trying to just listen. If you like this time slot, it's 1100 on, man. Like and subscribe. Let us know. We want to give you guys what you want. So I think we're not oversaturating by doing too many shows. I like doing them. This is what I've been talking about anyways. I'm just putting a red light on it and filming it instead of just talking to my friends or talking on the group chat. Doing this with all my friends, all 1138 of my friends here on the show. So if you like the show and you like us doing more, let us know. Felix saying, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Jim Jones, he was out there at practice, man. So you don't let this guy tell you he's not an insider. Felix, he knows exactly who's looking good. Let's see what's going on. Brandon saying you didn't mention Kaloje and the flip talks. Do you not see it? That could happen too. That could happen. Appreciate you, Mo. All your support. Backing up says never too many. All right, I like it. And so some of you guys, I know the time slot. Maybe you guys are at work or something. You can't be on the show, so hopefully some guys can be on. Canes guy says people are watching content 24/7. Might as well give it to them. Now, you think you're the ones watching 24/7, man. You are a beast. You are nonstop in the chat, Doing it. We appreciate your support, man. You're the man. All right, good. Appreciate the feedback. Brandon's saying more shows and still no baseball. We've been doing baseball segments the last couple of shows, and we've done 2 baseball segments last week. We'll do the full show. Just kind of time it up. The thing that's hard, Brandon, is the football practice. So we're at football practice for a while too. So it's hard to get the baseball show queued up. But trust me, I want to go through every portal guy with Sebastian and maybe we can get Javi on. We're trying, man. We're trying to get. I'm so jacked about this baseball team. I was talking to my guy James Canable, the baseball SID. He's fired up. Everybody around the program is ecstatic. You saw the South Lamakia news. I think Miami should be announcing that pretty soon. Officially, it was announced already by a summer league team with the quotes from him. We talked about it when we did the baseball spot. I'm super fired up about that addition. Johnny Lagoon asking, how are the Miami Beach Bulldogs looking this offseason? Well, it's tricky. We had a good 10U team with half 10U, like half 9-year-olds and half 10-year-olds. My son's is a 10-year-old. So he moved up, and then the 9-year-old stayed. So now they're 10U, and the 11U's kind of missing half a team. So we're trying to figure it out. He might play up to. We'll see. A lot of uncertainty with the Miami Beach Bulldogs, but E-Money is playing good, man. The center field looks good. He did a lot of different sports this summer, so the different sports are helping his center field. He's looking more athletic. He's looking less like his dad. Tyler Cannon saying, baseball's cool and all, but it's August, football season, baby. It's always football season around here. It's also always baseball season, so that's how we do it. Blue saying Williamsport at 12U. Yeah, we're doing I think Cooperstown is going to be the 12U deal. Assuming we get everybody together, it's going to be fun. But Jay Bar saying, very important that the field goal kicker doesn't suck. Yep. And look, people ask me about it. I mean, look, they make kicks in practice. They miss kicks in practice. I think you saw, at least on the Burt Auburn side, you saw him be an all-ACC first teamer in 2023. And you saw him struggle last year. If you're asking me what version we're going to see on August 31st, it would be a lie. I just don't know, right? I've seen him make some good kicks. I've seen him miss a couple. I've not seen any kind of like mental breakdown. I see a talented guy who was first team all Big 12. So, we'll see how it goes, man. But that's time to roll out the ball and play. That's one position where I'm really not going to know until they play. Raul's saying, if you're killing it, what's next? 3 a.m. live streams? Wake up at 5. So maybe I could do a 5 a.m. live stream while I usually do a nice little stretch. I'm a big believer in stretching right now as I'm getting old and pulling my hamstring anytime I try to do something athletic. So I've been trying to stretch the hamstrings. I got a YouTube video with this German chick, Maddie Morrison, who does a great job. YouTube's got great stretches for the old men in the chat. So shout out to Maddie Morrison. Get your stretch on. HTS. Shout out to the TBT 12U baseball team. Me and my son just came from getting a W. Good job, little HJS and big HJS, man. That's awesome, man. Yeah, baseball is the best. Great to see. It's just great father and son stuff. Irma Garcia saying, hardest hit you ever saw at practice. This wasn't the hardest hit, but the most devastating hit was probably Sean Taylor tackled Frank Gore and knocked him out for the season in 2002. It would have been nice to have Frank Gore that year. Could have Hitman Willis McGahee. So that was kind of probably the most important hit I've seen at practice. I'll tell you a hard hit, Irma. It's a great question. So we had this guy in 2000. In 2000, we had a freshman, Willis McGahee. This was his freshman year, the year he actually redshirted. Right. This was like the Santana Moss Reggie Wayne last season, but it was practice before then. It was in Cobb Stadium, which is right next to Green Tree. So you had McGahee as a 5-star true freshman, and there's like third team. He's running the ball, and safety that Butch just signed from Pennsylvania. His name was Jared McClure, white dude, and he was a scholarship safety. And he came down to tackle. McGahee just completely ran him over, like took the air out of him, knocked him out. And then like 2 months later, Jared McClure had his football career was over, and he was like an Abercrombie and Fitch model. So hopefully he's still doing well. But I think the big time football ended with McGahee. Amanjit saying a lot of fans keep questioning our DT depth. Our top 3 is better than OSU on paper. Texas is in there. The days of loaded and deep defensive tackle rooms for 3 or 4 programs seem to be over. Thoughts? I could not agree more. I'm glad you're saying it. I like our DTs. I think our top 3 obviously are where you feel better. Nobody has depth at defensive tackle. You can't. Texas just paid big money for Hiro Kanu, who was a backup defensive tackle at Ohio State, who did not play at all, was not a rotation guy, was just like a bench warmer. Paid him big money to go to Texas. Josh Horton goes to Georgia. These are like guys that didn't even play. David Blay was one of the highest value guys on the market. So we got him. Obviously, Scott's a 5-star. You're not hard to get those guys. So the days of, like Jalen Carter on the bench, like that's just very hard to do. Georgia, this is defensive end, not defensive tackle, but just to give you an idea, Georgia's best pass rusher, Damon Wilson, we talked about this yesterday in the show with Suave, the guy that was going to step up and be the star this year, he went to Missouri because they paid him more. And that was a starter. So it shows you just how hard it is. That's Georgia. It's hard to keep these guys together, particularly at that defensive tackle position, because they get paid so much that, like, why would you not go and get paid the most? David Stone jumped in the portal. I'm sure he got a handsome raise to come back to Oklahoma. Just hard to get those guys. So I think everybody's struggling with DT depth. But look, we got 3 guys that we feel really good about. We got some young guys that need to step up. So we'll see. Canes Jones, you got some overtime going. Can't do that late night episode with a late night sponsor. Line it up. Dude, wow, this is my favorite guy right here. He's setting up the sponsor. He already knows. Late night, you're hungry. You're already thinking about breakfast tomorrow. Islas Canarias Cuban Express. I wish I could tell you late night munchies you could take care of this, but listen, you can load up at this place. You can have leftovers. You can have it the next day when you're hungry around 10 o'clock like today. Number 1 Cuban restaurant on the planet. Number 1 Cuban restaurant on planet Earth. This is absolutely outstanding stuff. 7 different types of croquetas, tostones, loaded fries, empanadas, tequeños, you name it, cubaritos. I mean, they got all the classics, plus they got stuff that you never even heard of because it's brand new, invented by them. Like the kimchi croqueta, which I know Johnny Lagoon loves, Korea and Cuban together. Escapees of communism coming together to have the best croqueta on the planet there, with the South Korea meeting the Cuban. But yeah, man, that's a sick one. They got veggie stuff if you're like me, but they got all the meat you need. Pan con lechon, which is pig. They got the beef, chicken, bacalao, which is like codfish. They got everything here at Islas Canarias Cuban Express. They got the bowls. That's very popular. Cuban coffee, if you need to get started, the juices, you name it, they got it. Traditional, new. Islas Canarias, the best. All right, let's see. We got questions here. The question about, the people prioritizing money over winning with guys leaving for more money. Yeah, it's happening to everybody. Here's what I would say. And we talked about this yesterday with Swab, but I want to repeat it. Oh, Anthony's saying South Korea is not communist. I know. They're the ones that got out. We're the ones that Miami Cubans are the ones that got out too. I'm saying we got that in common. We got out of there. That's why we're eating good 7 different types of croquetas, and everybody else is eating rations. There's no rations at Islas Canarias. You can eat all day and bring leftovers. But anyways, so yeah, as far as like, look at Georgia, right? So Georgia, we're used to them having 6 first rounders in the mock drafts, 5 or 6, 4 or 6, whatever. This year in the mock draft, which I understand is a mock draft, the only guy listed for Georgia to be drafted is CJ Allen, a linebacker. And linebackers, he's not a pass rusher, so he's going to go probably lower in the draft, even though he's a really, really good player. CJ Allen's a stud, probably the best linebacker in the country, but still, he's going to go lower. So when Georgia doesn't have 4 or 5 5-stars, what does that tell you? That doesn't mean Kirby Smart's not recruiting hard like he always does. Georgia didn't get, less appealing. It's the NIL stuff and the parity caused by NIL. So when Georgia's that down on paper, they're going to be a good team. They're a top 10 team. They won the SEC last year. But if you're just talking about, like, again, the legions of pros that we're used to seeing them the last few years, I don't see that in the pipeline. The running back's good. He's underclassman. They got a couple transfer receivers, but, Zechariah Branch, Noah Thomas, they're not like stars yet. They become stars here at Georgia, but it's not like those guys are like Jeremiah Smith or anything like that. Tight ends, okay, decent, not Brock Bowers. Offensive line, they lost a lot of guys, and they were bad last year. Their quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, he'll be going pro in something other than football, most likely. Defensive line, I couldn't tell you any defensive linemen on Georgia. Their best pass rusher, like I said, went to Missouri. We mentioned their linebackers are good. Defensive backs, KJ Bolden will be good. He's draft eligible, but they wanted our guy, Zechariah Poyser, to be their safety to replace Malachi Starks. They wanted Ethan O'Connor to be one of their corners. These are guys that we got. So they don't have the talent that is, and the depth of talent that is so far above like it was in the past. DMoney late night, give me hot 105. Freddie Cruz, quiet storm vibes, romantic. I don't got that smooth voice, that quiet storm voice. But appreciate the comment. 1,300 on, man. Like and subscribe to the show. Like I said, I can't help it. I can't help going live. It's too much fun talking to you guys. I'm too excited about the Canes, and there's too much to talk about. Tyler Cannon saying, not going to lie, I wish Isaiah Horton stayed. How much did they pay him? I won't say what they paid him. I think Horton he had his guy Ty Simpson, who just got named the new quarterback at Alabama. He's from Tennessee, so they knew each other from Tennessee, like high school. So, I think it was just one of those things. The appeal of Alabama was there for him. They have a great receiving corps. He's going to have plenty of opportunities with Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard. He himself is very good and a hard worker. I like Isaiah Horton. It's just one of those things. That was the only one we lost. Everybody else lost a lot. Alabama lost Justice Haynes to Michigan, their starting tailback. So you win some, you lose some, kind of with the portal these days. I think we did very, very good with retention. Not just good. I think we did great with retention. And then look, you lose Horton, you replace him with CJ Daniels, who I don't know if CJ Daniels is going to do what Horton does on Alabama this year, because I don't know what Horton's going to do. He's a hard worker. He could jump a level. But as far as like what we saw Horton do last year, I think CJ Daniels can do all that stuff. Drew's asking, who's your first flip? I don't know. I don't think anybody's imminent. I think it's going to be a total full court press to see what's happening. You've got to see who. These things are hard to predict, man. You don't know who's going to kind of have an issue that they just become available. That's why you got to work on all those guys, have a relationship with all those guys, and then see what happens, man. You don't know how recruiting's unpredictable. You didn't know Justin Scott was going to be the flip. And obviously that was the biggest flip we've ever had, 5-star. Rambo, love the two-a-days. The two-a-days are illegal with football, so they're all legal when it comes to talking about football. We can go two-a-days all day. No nap, no trip to Wendy's. We go two-a-days all day. Aaron Morrell saying Georgia will be crying about Beck not staying by the end of the season when they're a fringe top 15 team. It could happen. Gunnar Stockton. I mean, look, I know DJ Lagway gets hate. I think he's really talented. Talk about DJ Lagway. Talk about Lenore Sellers. You're talking about Arch Manning. These are super talents. Even talk about Arkansas, Taylon Green, really talented. Mateer running and throwing. Austin Simmons. So if you really look at the SEC, it's not you could see a situation where Gunnar Stockton is not even top 10 in the conference, right? So let's say Lenore Sellers, Nussmeier, Lagway and Manning. Let's say they live up to it. Who else we got? Taylon Green, I think, is probably the most underrated quarterback, the Arkansas quarterback. I think he's going to get drafted. John Mateer with the dual threat capabilities that he has. Bo Perbula could maybe be that guy. I like him. Who else we got in the SEC? Jackson Arnold, the 5-star with a lot of talent around him. We'll see what happens there. Diego Pavia, thank you, from Vanderbilt. Tennessee, I don't think is very good at quarterback. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but I mean, Marcel Reed from Texas A&M. We'll see who does better versus him and Stockton. But you could see Gunnar Stockton either at the bottom. Oh, I mentioned Austin Simmons from Ole Miss. I think he's going to be outstanding. So you could see it when you really actually look at these guys that Stockton's at the bottom. I don't think I'm talking crazy just because he replaced Beck and Beck's our guy now. I think if you really look at the guys, the names. Who are you taking of that list that I just gave over Gunnar Stockton? Or who are you taking Gunnar Stockton over on that list, I should say? I don't know. So we'll see, man. But yeah, I'm selling on Georgia a little bit, not because of Beck, just because the idea that Georgia's going to be better without Beck, I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll tell you this. I have Miami has him. After watching him here, feel pretty good that Miami's got their quarterback. Birdstone, appreciate you. Smash that like button. It's free. Shout out to the villains. Street, everybody. Yeah, always appreciate everybody supporting. We got to get Street on one of these days here. It's hard with the schedule changing so much with practice. But yeah, we'll get Street on. He's always electric. Almost 1,400 on here. Actually, exactly 1,400 on. So like and subscribe to the show. Support this. Johnny Lagoon saying probably only the UK and Kentucky and Mississippi State quarterbacks. You know what's crazy? Kentucky's quarterback's Cuban. So we know Mendoza's Cuban. And then I heard someone say Castellanos is Cuban. We have 3 Cuban quarterbacks in college football. That is a statement that I never thought I would say. That's unusual. Nope, Notre Dame has not picked their starting quarterback, so that's what's going on. Nico saying it's hard. I don't understand the hate for Beck and saying how people have thrown this kid in the trash despite being a top quarterback the past 2 years. He's an introvert. His girlfriend was an extrovert and did all the videos. I think that didn't help him with people that, were frustrated with the season because he's on Instagram after a loss or something, but I don't think that's what he wants to do. I mean, you haven't seen him on Instagram since he broke up with his girlfriend, who is a social media star. So I think that hurt him. The Lambo, the tats, I'm old school. I like my quarterbacks kind of boring. So, I don't love quarterbacks and Lambos and tats. I'm maybe old fashioned that way, but this guy was smart and he's tough, man. And he's produced, and everything I've heard is the guy's been a great guy. So I'm just seeing him. He's smiling, he's interacting with his teammates. I'm looking forward to interviewing him for storm sessions because everything I hear is great. So I don't know what Beck's going to do, right? No one knows what's going to happen. I didn't know Tyler Van Dyke was going to throw 1 million interceptions with the best offensive line in the ACC like he did. So I don't know what's going to happen. But when I put my head on the pillow and I'm thinking about things that scare me in the Miami Hurricanes, starting quarterback, last on the list. Or towards the bottom. I'm not worried about Beck. I was worried about his elbow because I didn't know. Now I've seen it. Feel great about that. Feel great about all the intangible stuff I hear about. And then I've seen the film, and I'm very comfortable with what he did in the film. So, experience matters, like J.R. Barr says. 28-3 as a starter, big SEC away games, championship games. ACC is not going to be a problem. He's somebody who experience matters, man. I'm a big believer in getting quarterbacks out of the portal because they've already gotten their development. They've already taken their lumps. There's no growing pains because they've already grown when you get them. So I like that, especially when you get NFL talents. We had the number 1 pick through the portal. I think this guy's going to be a guy. So, I like experienced quarterbacks because those are the guys, the Jaden Daniels, the Cam Wards, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriels, Will Howard, Riley Leonard. I mean, go down the list. These are all experienced guys. And Bo Nix, I mentioned him, Beck's in that category. So they all have the answers to the test, let's say, because they've been through it, especially with the COVID year. Some of these guys started 5 years. That's insane. There's no wonder. Look at the guys that started 5 years, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Ward. They're all insane because they played more than anybody's ever played college football. Bagging Up says, does Beck really have the wow factor? He doesn't have any spectacular highlights. I mean, look, I'll tell you this. He had enough highlights to be the number 1 overall projected pick, and that was not like a media creation. NFL guys, I listened to Chris Spielman's podcast. Chris Spielman, former GM, now with the Jets. He picked Adrian Peterson. He picked Justin Jefferson. Now he's with the Jets. But when he was on the podcast last year, he said Beck was his number 1 guy. And when Beck transferred to Miami, he said he's going to be the number 1 guy, in his opinion. This is an NFL guy. So the point being that you don't get number 1 overall pick buzz without highlights. They're not like Cam Ward where he's going to be running around. But I think you want to see Beck. If you want to see Beck, what he can really do, bagging up, pull up his Tennessee game this year and look at some of the throws he makes in that game. There's one in particular over the middle for a touchdown, which is he both layered the ball over the defensive back, but also had the trajectory where it was driven, and it was outstanding. Made some runs in that game too. So Ward is a special deal. The magic of Ward, the ability to just kind of hold the ball, know that someone's going to get through and you're going to beat them and, break the tackle. Like Ben, almost like a Big Ben Roethlisberger in a way. Not as big, obviously, but he was kind of Big Ben-ish in some ways, Cam Ward last year. You're not going to get that kind of level of highlight. But as far as a guy that could do some of the quick release, quick reads that you saw with Dorsey, but then also have a little more arm strength and athleticism, twitch in his body where you talk about as a first-round pick. So I think he's going to be really good, man. Again, if you ask me, he's going to be Cam Ward. Cam Ward's the best quarterback I've ever seen in Miami. Cam Ward's the best player I've seen in Miami, says Sean Taylor. So it's hard to beat that. And the intangibles are the best ever in every category. I think Beck's going to be really good. If you remove Cam Ward from the equation and you stop worrying about replacing Ward, you compare Beck to everybody else, based on what I know, either from watching him at Georgia and then seeing him now in Green Tree, give me Beck. And look, even though I would expect Like, I would think it's hard to beat Cam Ward. I wouldn't bet on it. I would bet against it just because of the odds. Who knows what he can do, man? I'm not going to put a ceiling on him. So we'll see what he does. I'm very, very excited about Beck. Nico Jones saying, if you compare Beck to the quarterbacks drafted last year, he's better than Dylan Gabriel. I agree. Better than Jackson Dart. I agree. Shedeur Sanders. I'm a Shedeur guy. I thought he carried Colorado last year. But in terms of would he be drafted ahead of him if he was healthy, probably, even with the rough year. If Beck didn't have the bad elbow, and let's say he went to the Senior Bowl or something like that, I think you're probably talking about him as a second first-round pick. Maybe not the top 10 pick that he was before because he had the tough year with the problems Georgia had and his own problems throwing picks. But he probably would have risen. Tyler Shuck was second round. I love Tyler Shuck. I was the one hyping him before we played him. I said he was an NFL guy. But Beck is in that conversation. All right, let's see what's going on here. Blue saying Beck is what we need, exactly what we need with his inexperienced wide receiver core. I agree with that. One thing that I've learned watching the NFL, and shout out to Move the Sticks podcast, they talk about this all the time, and it's a very good point, is you could have an inexperienced quarterback and experienced receivers. It's kind of what Notre Dame's dealing with because they got good experience at receiver. They'll help the quarterback grow. And you get an experienced quarterback with inexperienced receivers. What you don't want is inexperienced quarterback and inexperienced receivers because then they're not on the same page. And I think with Beck, obviously he's an experienced quarterback. You do have some experienced receivers. CJ Daniels has been around the block. He's just as old as Beck. He's going to help a lot. Keelan Marion, I'm excited where his trend line, Tony Johnson, these are experienced guys, so they'll help as well. Alex Bauman, the tight end. So there is experience there. But yeah, for the young guys who are dynamic, we talked about up top, Malachi Tony, Josh Moore. Going to be interesting to see those guys. Real quick, want to talk about the Miami Hurricane team store. We're talking about Carson Beck. How about some Beck memorabilia, man? Memorabilia is flying off the shelf here. Officially signed. Your favorite players, the best players on the team, signing footballs, helmets, you name it, at the Miami Hurricane team store. You can get that there. That's NIL, so that's not necessarily subject to the discount, but everything else in the store that's not NIL, that's not money going to the players' pockets. Promo code INSIGHT20. That'll get you 20% off at MiamiHTS.com. And if you use the promo code in the store, just say CanesInSight, they'll put it on there. Like Johnny Lagoon says, man, shout out to Harry and Jeremy. Lauren Concepcion saying, imagine the Canes having back-to-back #1 picks. That'd be nice. Lincoln Riley would move over. There'd be a new Lincoln Riley. And I think if you're the best quarterback in the portal next year, where do you want to be? Mrs. G, where's the Canes Inside merch? Stay tuned. Thank you for asking. Johnny Lagoon, by the way, go meet Mario next Friday, August 22nd. That's the fact. August 22nd, mark your calendars, 4 to 5 p.m. at the Miami Hurricane team store next to Johnny Lagoon. Well, you will be next to Johnny Lagoon, but next to the Thesis Hotel. Meet Mario Cristobal. Get your gear signed. It is going to be an outstanding event. It's the man. It's the coach. No bigger meet and greet than that. Next Friday, August 22nd, 4 to 5. Mark your calendars. All right, everybody, appreciate you. Remember to like and subscribe to the show. We almost got 1,500 on. Eat at Islas Canarias. Keep supporting. CanesInsight.com, 7.5 million posts and counting. Canes Connection, sign up, join the team. I can do spots all day, but bottom line, go Canes. Appreciate you guys joining us.